Thank you for setting me up for that. The year was 1986. In 1986, I just finished my junior year of high school, and I rode a bicycle from Lincoln City, Oregon, over here, to Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. That's thank you. 26 years ago. Can you tell? It was a good trip. In fact, it was a foundational thing for me. It was one of those cornerstone things for me. I was not a team sport guy in high school and rode my bike everywhere, and this just seemed to make sense. It didn't make sense to anybody but me. My parents were certain that I would be coming back. In fact, they told me this last 2 weeks ago, that they actually had money set aside to fly me back from wherever I gave up. No, I didn't, but they let me go, so that's good. I didn't go by myself. It wasn't a loaded touring. You've seen those guys out in the middle of nowhere with an apartment on their bike, and they're doing 8 miles an hour. It wasn't that. It was with a group called Wandering Wheels out of Upland, Indiana, Taylor University there. They're still doing this. My trip across was their 23rd. So they'd done this, and they had it down to a science. And the way it worked was, there were about 70 people on our trip, and they gave you an Army duffel bag. And whatever you could fit in the duffel bag, you didn't have to carry. We shipped a lot of stuff home in Oregon, because we didn't want to carry anything. And you took that duffel bag and you threw it in this big blue bus that they converted to carry duffel bags and food supplies. It was one of those buses that had the awning that could come out and had like the hookups for gas and all like that. And we'd start wherever we ended the night before. And they'd set us a destination, usually about 100 miles away. It was 39 days, about 100 miles, give or take. And we'd start with some kind of carbohydrated breakfast. And then we'd go, and we'd keep on going, and most of the time, about halfway through, if there wasn't a town, the bus would be waiting for us halfway through to give us lunch. And that was really nice. And you take a 15-minute power nap, and you get back on, and you'd ride to wherever we were going to stay that night. Now, most of the time, they did not necessarily know where we were going to stay that night. They knew the town or the city, but we didn't have accommodations. So when we'd get there, sometimes we'd have dinner ready for us, and sometimes we'd have to go to get our own. But if we came together and they needed to provide the dinner, then what would happen is the bus would be over there, and everybody would file through. And Taylor University is a Christian-based university, and so Wandering Wheels is also, there's a tradition then that they have, the custom for somebody to ask a blessing. I was 17. I was the only kid from Missouri. I was the only kid my age. The oldest person there was 70. It was this huge span. And these were some of the coolest, down-to-earth, just genuinely good people that I've met since. But I was 17. And so when Ted, who was the leader of our tour that year, when he rode past me in the morning and said, "Ken, you going to tell the blessing tonight?" I went, "Sure." Most of the day was spent like this, just riding over the bike, riding and riding and riding and continually riding, which gave me a lot of time to think about what I was going to pray. 17. My concept of praying and leading a group in prayer, a group a little smaller than this, is a little out of whack. I didn't know God as well then as I do now, and I know now that when you lead a group in prayer, you're basically letting them overhear what you're saying to Him, not impressing them and entertaining them and getting your spiritual clout by the prayer that you give. So, for the next 8 hours, I honed it down to a science. Those first several miles, I kind of had a general outline, and then the next few miles, about lunch, I kind of had it working, and then I started rehearsing it in the last 20 miles, and by the time everybody was all gathered in this big parking lot, everybody sitting on little parking curbs with a styrofoam plate of muscatoli on their lap, on their knees, waiting for me, and Ted, who kind of terrified me a little bit, said, "All right, Wolf's going to pray." I was ready. Now, the other thing you need to know was I had always wanted a nickname. Nicknames are cool. Who's got a nickname? The real genuine stuck to it me somehow. Oh, okay. So the rest of you know how I feel. Just to have a nickname, right? And every time they'd ride past me, there was this saying that, or actually an expectation, that you didn't ever walk your bike on this tour. If you had to stop, you stopped, and you stopped. And when you're ready to go again, you got on your bike, and you went. If you stopped too long, somebody would come up behind you, and they'd say, "Can't get there, sitting here," which is true. And it would kind of make you go, it kind of make you go, "You're right," and you'd go again. And all I wanted was the nickname, Chief, Duke, something. Say that, "Can't get there, sitting there, Duke." And that would be really cool. I would have settled for Luigi. I marketed Luigi. I put Luigi on all my stuff. Nobody knew me, so I figured maybe the people who didn't really know me thought my name was Luigi and it would stick. Nothing. It was always, "Can't get there, sitting here, kid. Son. Buddy." So I thought, all right, they're going to know me after tonight. They're going to know who I am. Somebody's going to give me a nickname, and I'm going to be accepted and part of the group. We were just in the Cascade Mountains. We were just in Oregon, our first of 3 mountain ranges. I mean, I had, 2,500 miles yet to really firm up this nickname, right? So, I bring us back. We were sitting, Muscatcholi teetering on tired knees. A hush falls over the crowd. Just like this. And I bowed my head. I said, "Let's pray." Because people were all the way out there. I said, "Let's pray." And I swear to you, honestly, what I meant to say was, "Dear Lord, thank you for this time of sitting and sharing." I had said it 1,000 times in my head. And this ripple effect, just what happened. In fact, this is not comfortable for me. Followed by the sound of about 70 plates of Muscatcholi hitting pavement. They really did. They had to do another batch for everybody. And it was good-natured, and they all came and slapped me on the back and everything, and I wanted to crawl underneath the little parking pavement thing. But what happened was, by the time we got to the Teton Pass some weeks later, and if you've ever ridden a bike up that thing, that's a story for another time. But I got off at one point, and I was standing there just straddling the bike, and it happened. They gave me my nickname. They did. They rode past. There was a couple on a tandem bike. They rode past, which is doubly hard on the Teton Pass. They rode past, and they said, "Can't get there, sitting here, Sharon." Which lasted me until Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. But inasmuch as I told you I was the only kid from Missouri, nobody else but you knows it, so it didn't stick, which is nice. And it will not stick. Thank you.